Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. HeirofCarthage here, giving you one last look of the gameplay that I got to do in Total War Pharaoh. And this final battle was the hardest of them, and it was also a siege battle, so we get a chance to see the beautiful city sites here in Minifer. I believe that was the city, or Memphis maybe, as it was otherwise known. I could be wrong. Not to be confused with the city in Tennessee that's only a few hours away from me. I think they look quite a bit different. Unless I'm otherwise being misinformed. So, yeah, welcome to the battlefield. There are some capture points. I wanted to show off some of the beautiful buildings. You get to deploy your troops, and I have some of the heaviest troops yet that we've been given here. I have several of those two-handed Upper Egypt mace axe warriors. We have some elite spearmen and axe warriors. I also have some javelin men, and then my leader is no longer in a chariot unit. Actually, he's in an archer unit, which is right here. So really cool elite archer unit for Ramesses. And yes, we are taking on the Sea People. So many people I saw in the comments whenever CA announced the game was hoping we would get a chance to see the Sea People, and indeed we will. So I have to defend our capital from the Sea People here, and they are going to be bringing in an extremely well-armored, very tough army, and it's going to be interesting to try and stop them. What I'm hoping to do is to cause a little bit of diversion and distraction while the enemy then gets a little off kilter, and then we take advantage of that. So I will show you how I'm going to attempt that, and we'll see whether it's successful whenever the battle starts. Otherwise, I'm just trying to show you all some of these troops and get some stats up on the screen for the people who are curious about it. Now, here are some of the siege vehicles for the Sea People. They've got some large towers, and then they've got some of their troops back here, and then this is their leader here. I'm trying to remember his name. Yeah, there it is. Barasone, or however we say this. Anyway, very heavily armored units, and you can see here, these guys are definitely looking like they came from the Bronze Age. They are ready to fight, and they've got some elite archers to back it up. They have, I want to say, 3, maybe 4 different prongs of assault that they're bringing at me. It is basically it's a 360-degree map. However, part of it is backed up to the water. So I think on this one it's like 270 degrees roughly. And so we're going to have a pretty good time here trying to fight these guys back. Some of them have ladders, some of them have the towers. I'm going to focus some of my best infantry at the infantry that is coming up the towers, because I feel like they're going to be the most dangerous because they can come off in large groups, whereas the ladders are going to be a little more one-off. Look at these units, though. I mean, some of these shields and stuff look absolutely amazing, like cool colors and stuff like that. So, Sea People looking pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, let you all get a look at these, and here in a moment, it's going to switch over to the replay, and during the replay, I'll explain the strategy. But yeah, this is definitely no noob, beginner type army here for the Sea People. This is a hardened and very challenging set of troops we're going to have to take on. Check out the God Rays there, too. Game looks really phenomenal. Now, I know some people have mentioned in my comments on other videos that they don't really dig this new look, that they think it looks a little too clean and not gritty enough. I mean, that's fair enough. There may be some people who feel like that they would like to see a slightly different art aesthetic, but I think the game looks pretty darn good, all things considered. Now, as the battle gets started, and again, this is a replay, so I'm not controlling anything live here, and I'm recording this after I pre-recorded the replay, so I'm trying to get you some cinematic shots. My first move was to actually take a unit of chariots that I have and run out of the gates and come screaming towards one of the enemy positions. Now, the objective of this is to basically distract and annoy the enemy force into dedicating resources to fight the chariot back. The Sea People do not have any fast-moving units with which to counter this, and so the AI is going to go dumb, and it's going to lock onto this with infantry and missile units, and those units won't be able to catch it as long as I micromanage it properly. So I bring the chariots out, I present them, I start firing a few shots, just trying to irritate the AI, and it works. Immediately I start to draw the attention of some pretty expensive units on their part that are going to come and try and get after my chariots. Now, this is going to work exactly according to the plan that I want, because then that means that the AI's assault on my walls will not be uniform and all at once. Speaking of, in past battles we mentioned weather. In this case, it is a scorching hot day, and we're about to have conditions that I don't remember exactly the words CA used to describe it, but essentially think of it like an overbearingly hot summer day. And in these conditions, one of the things that happens is that fire can spread more easily. And of course, I'm the one in the settlement, and so that fire could go through the buildings, and then that would greatly lower the morale of my men to see their city burning to the ground. So my objective here is to try and pin up the enemy, distract them, take out their skirmishers before they can light my city on fire and begin to demoralize my troops. So again, I think I'm defending like 3 or 4 different points. This was another flank. I've got a fair number of archers and javelin men up here defending this point as well. So as the AI makes its way forward, I am ready to meet them. I do not want this grind to take too long. Look at it here, the AI already putting some fire arrows into the city, so this is not what I want. And I have to effectively get out there and start distracting those archers. So my chariots, you can see, are making a long swing around some enemy slingers. I didn't want to go straight into them because there was infantry nearby and I would take a lot of fire. So I'm trying to swing out around them and make my way around the map so that I can try and get these elite archers, which are currently sending some fire arrows up at me. However, Ramesses and his elite archer guard here is raining death down along Barasone, or Barasone, I don't know how you say it. But we are really putting some heavy fire into his unit, and then he is going to be coming up the wall and meet head-on with some of my elite axe units, which will be ready to hack through his armor. So he is headed right into the Egyptian wood chipper, so to speak here. I've got my best units waiting on him. And then in my other formations, which we'll go and visit here in a moment, I'm kind of using like a delaying and slowing tactic, whereas here, this is where I want the decisive engagement. I'm going to kill their leader, hopefully, and then I'm going to use my chariots to run over their elite archers, and that, I'm hoping, will tilt this battle heavily in my favor. You can actually see the siege engines now moving up the walls, and I'll let you get a shot of those unloading their troops here. And the real fighting begins now, as these elite warriors of the Sea People come face to face with my Upper Egyptian two-handed mace axe warriors here. Some of my archers might be slightly in the line of fire here, but I'm not super worried about the setup. I think that we're going to be able to hold them back fairly effectively. So, all things considered, it is going the way I want, and here I did finally outmaneuver these slingers over there. You can see them pitching stuff at me in the background, and the fight on the wall is properly underway. So the Sea People have their ladders, their towers, and my valiant defenders are now taking up arms and attempting to push them back. So I'm going to move down the line here and show you some of those different engagements. Like I said, I think there's about 4 separate engagements going on, so it was a lot to manage during the battle, and it was fun. I was able to use the unit cards to kind of see, you know, to swing my way around the battlefield a little more quickly and try and keep track of everything. Here I'm using some defensive spearmen because I knew that the enemy was going to come after the gates here, and so I used my spearmen in a defensive stance to basically just pile in and hold the enemy here right at the gates. No reference intended here to the epic sniper movie, but yeah, the enemy is at the gates. So in any case, the battle continues, and look at this. This is what I wanted all along. So Barasone right now is locked in mortal combat with my axes, and he's still taking javelin fire up on the walls, but in the meantime, while he is struggling to stay alive, here comes my chariots. There's actually a little bit of lag here when recording. That's the only time I experienced that, but it did happen. And my chariots are going to just absolutely start to suffocate these elite archer units who are already under fire from the wall. So I'm not going to leave my chariots engaged in combat for long periods. I'm going to hit and run and hit and run. And now you can see the archers, now scared of my chariots, are running towards the wall where they're just going to take way more enemy missile fire. So the plan has worked beautifully. And here the leader of the Sea People, like you can see, is locked into combat, fighting some of my best armor-piercing units here, and he's also taking some javelin fire from down below, or at least he was. So the hit points on this unit are significantly reduced, and he is not in a good place. Meanwhile, my elite archer units just continue to rain death from the walls, and now the enemy archer units are effectively broken up. So it's always fun whenever you make a plan, and the plan actually works. As opposed to going completely awry, which is the case in most battles. So you can see that power bar up there on the top starting to creep into my favor, and once we rout their leader, I would expect that it's very much going to swing into my favor. Check out some of these javelin men I have down here as well. They discharge their javelins, and I will use them in a secondary combat role here soon. I'm able to bring my leader down to a safe spot, so Ramesses is safe and has not been engaged since he's in an archer unit. I definitely want to avoid engagements. The enemy does still have some skirmishers on this side of the battlefield, and they break through another section of gates, but they're going to be met by my Kopesh-wielding swordsmen and some heavy spears, and so they are not really going to find much ground to take there. Meanwhile, on this far-flung flank, The enemy is losing its combat up on the walls. A couple of different Kopesh units here taking each other on, and right now mine have the advantage. These ladders limit the number of their units that can get up into combat, and so you are fighting at a disadvantage coming up the ladders. And then here I have effectively sealed off this gate here with these spear. Well, one of them might be an axe unit. I can't remember exactly, but I know there's some spears in there. So in any case, sorry if there was a bit of a lag spike there. Again, not really sure what that was. But in any case, things are going very well. Very well indeed. I think their leader is about to be routed. I came back for those slingers that had been chasing my chariots. I'm able to take out the slingers. My chariots took pretty heavy damage, but most of the rest of my units in this battle were able to fare well. Yeah, you can actually see Barasone running in the background, back behind the wall there if I go back up. So we have routed their leader, which is definitely going to have an impact on morale, especially when troops are trying to fight their way over huge stone walls. Yeah, so there goes the leader. So I've sent the Sea People's leader packing, and I believe he's going to be killed as he flees, which was definitely something I want, because I want to further lessen morale. And again, watch that power bar just continue to creep in my direction. There's still a pretty good chunk of Sea People up here on this wall, but with their leader now fleeing the battle, they are locked in position, and now I'm starting to get more and more reinforcements available to come into this fight. There goes the enemy general. That's going to take a hit on morale for sure. So he is down and out. So no more Barasone here, or Barasone. So we have gotten rid of him, and I'm feeling quite confident that we're going to achieve victory at this point. So there are no more archers left to set my city on fire. The heat wave is causing fatigue. You will see that right here a fire did get started outside the walls, and it will spread. It will spread through foliage and spread through buildings, and in these conditions where it's very hot and dry, that fire will spread faster than normal and easier than normal, but we've been able to contain that outside the wall. Very cool looking effect, by the way, and I'm curious to see how that turns out. So the Sea People rout, unable to take the capital city, and this was the hardest battle, and I'm proud of this. Not like it was the hardest, because you know, it is a CA event, so usually the battles are manageable for the press sake. But I'm proud of this. Heroic victory. There we go. Tell me what you think down in the comments. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now. As soon as I'm able to, I'll bring you any more news I get on Total War Pharaoh.